Friends is a new comedy that is now streaming on Hulu. It just came out over the past weekend. It's directed by Clay Tarver. Stars John Cena, Lil Rel Howery, Meredith Hagner, I think that's her name, Hagner or Wagner, one of the two, and Olivia Orji. I could be getting her first name wrong too, but it is what it is. Like I said, this is a comedy. Lil Rel Howery and Olivia Orji star as this engaged couple. Their names in the movie are Marcus and Emily. Marcus and Emily are on the verge of getting married. They decide to go on vacation. While they're on vacation, they run into John Cena and his wife. In the movie, I believe their names are Ron and Mary. Normally, Marcus and Emily are kind of mild-mannered, so they kind of let their hair down and they have fun. Eventually, you know, the vacation ends and then Marcus and Emily are like, you know what? This was just a one-time thing. We don't have to see these people anymore. Let's get back to our lives. Fast forward a few months and Ron and Mary actually show up to their wedding. They show up the weekend that they're supposed to get married, and as you would imagine, this throws a monkey wrench into everything. So we have a comedy where you can absolutely definitely see John Cena for majority of the runtime. I'm sorry. I couldn't resist doing at least one, but I know everybody is pretty much sick and tired of the John Cena "you can't see me" jokes. I have one friend that actually literally cusses me out every time I'm about to do it, and it's kind of hilarious, which is why I keep doing it. But I shouldn't have subjected you guys in this video to another John Cena "you can't see me" joke, so my apologies. You already can tell the words that are pre-programmed to come out of my mouth whenever I'm reviewing a comedy. Is the movie funny? This is the benchmark for every comedy, even shitty comedies, even ones that are not that good in terms of plot, acting, whatever. If you laugh, if the movie makes you laugh, that's a win, okay? That means you can tolerate any of the other bad shit that's in the movie. This movie actually had me laughing throughout the movie. I mean, definitely not all of the jokes land, and some of it, especially in the beginning, was very hit or miss, and I was just like, 20 minutes in, this is gonna be a rough one. I don't know what we're doing here. Then luckily, you keep going into the movie, and yeah, some funny stuff happens, and I will say that the jokes are a good mix of raunchy and clever, and there's a little bit of slapstick, but not too much to the point that it overstays its welcome. It's like the best type of role that John Cena has ever done. Honestly, if anybody talks about his acting or his performances in his more dramatic roles, there's not a lot to remember. But if you talk about like John Cena in funny movies, you'll be like, oh shit, John Cena was actually really good in that movie. It's an underrated comedic timing that I think really benefits his performances. Obviously, he's the strange man to the everyman that Lil Rel Howery is playing in this movie, so there's some good comedy that gets brought up out of that. And these characters, while they are playing very one-dimensional archetypes of characters that you've seen before, they play their roles really well. It's a movie about family, and it's about a disapproving father, and it's about two people getting married, and it's about everything that can go wrong, does go wrong during this wedding. So it's one of those type of movies, so you kind of know what you're getting yourself in for. It does feel like some scenes are improvised and ad-libbed, and there's some running jokes and some gags that don't work, but overall, I think it's an entertaining, harmless enough comedy that has enough raunch and enough R-related stuff in it that's gonna keep people entertained for the most part. Comedy is a very subjective thing, so if you don't think this movie's funny, if you don't laugh that much during it, well, you're in for a rough time, because there's really not much else about the movie that stands out. Very familiar setup and premise. It's very cliched. There are so many things in this movie where you can tell exactly where it's gonna go. You can tell what's gonna happen before it's gonna happen. Certain subplots that are in the movie are specifically designed for you to know exactly how it's gonna turn out. There's no impact or whatever. Shit just kind of happens, and you have to go with it, and you have to accept that you already knew what was gonna happen before it actually did. It makes the movie feel very formulaic, very run-of-the-mill, very typical buddy comedy type of movie. Luckily, I do think the movie is not really trying to be anything other than that. Staying in its own pocket, staying in its own lane, doing its own thing. There's just nothing else that stands out about this movie. There also is one subplot in the movie that I thought was weirdly handled in terms of how it was carried out and executed, and how the movie portrayed everybody's reaction to it. Can't spoil the subplot, obviously, but it's just one of those subplots where you can tell how it's gonna end up, but then when it happens and certain people in the movie are reacting to it, you're like, wait, this doesn't make as much sense. It feels like somebody just drained the movie out of whatever logic that it didn't have already. It's a harmless, fun comedy movie with a likable performance from John Cena and Lil Rel Howery and everybody else involved, and I think for me that's enough. Vacation Friends was a nice little comedy. I will say that I barely enjoyed it and put it in the Daily Planet. Favorite comedy of 2021 so far? Put that in the comment section down below. Like and subscribe to the Superfan Show, and if you like what you see, tell me how you feel, and stay tuned to hear more from the Man of Steel. Peace.